So, hey, everybody, welcome to the Love Bomb Collective podcast, where we try to keep it real and relevant for people just like you and me. And today I have the most amazing guest, Melanie Harris, and we're going to talk about a really tough subject, and it is suicide. And Melanie and I are going to move through this as easy as possible because we both experienced suicide in our life. Both of our sons died of suicide, and Melanie's here to tell her story. And later on, you'll get to hear my story. But for now, it's Melanie, and she's a beautiful person. She's been through a lot. She's quite, I would call her a warrior because in the feminine, because she's been through a lot, not just the death of her son, Dylan, but she's also been through quite a few other really huge, impactful struggles, and somehow has had the ability to come out on the other side of this, I would say, intact, but also, it's been a really intense journey for her. So we're going to talk about it today. And I hope that if you are a person who has been affected by suicide, either from losing a child or a husband or someone that you love, a friend, that this podcast today will help you kind of navigate through some of that. And we're here to offer you help. And Melanie and I have agreed together that, we're going to offer resources and help for people who are either have experienced suicide or are contemplating it themselves. So here we are today, and just bear with us. And, this is just us. We're being authentic. We're bringing it to you the best way that we know how, organically, and so just go with us on this. So, Melanie, you have a husband, Ryan, who has been, I think, your total rock, and I'm going to let you talk about that some more.
Sure.
And 6 boys, a mother to 6 boys. I always say that my sons, I go back to that scripture that says, my sons are like arrows in the hand of a warrior. And I think you can probably resonate with that.
Everybody says how strong I am, and I wasn't given a choice.
Right.
Like, it's what you do when you're a mom, I was given these beautiful babies, and you instinctively want to protect them.
Yeah.
And with Dylan, I wasn't given that chance,
Right.
to fight for him. And when my son Jake had his motorcycle accident, I feel like I fought hard, to keep him here.
Yeah.
And yes, my husband Ryan, oh goodness, he took care of me. Like, he literally made sure I ate, that I didn't drive if I was tired, that I didn't drive at all in the beginning after losing Dylan. Took care of the kids, took care of all of the phone calls and text messages that you get after you lose someone. Trying to still support our family financially. And I mean, to this day, I know how lucky I am for that. After I lost my son, Dylan, I tell everybody I heard this voice. I don't know if it was God or if it was Dylan saying, don't let your marriage fall apart, and make sure the other boys don't feel loved less than Dylan, make sure that they are taken care of. And that's the only 2 things I think I focused on after losing Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something, we talked about this before. It's the club you never want to join.
No.
Right. So, I'm going to try to guide our conversation as best as we can.
Good luck. I'm a nervous talker. I'm going to rant.
It's okay. We're just getting real. I mean, so I love the fact that you've had also a creative outlet throughout your whole life. You're a potter.
Yes.
And I know that I channel a lot of my highly sensitive self that has been through art, writing, talking, communicating, connecting with people. That's kind of, I think, that artistic way. to bring your art into all of this and create through your art and have an outlet for everything as well. Right?
After Dylan died, I had orders that were put in that were like things I couldn't cancel. It was like wedding favors for someone's wedding. Like I could not have them be disappointed on their special day. So I still had to get up and work. Not right immediately after, but within the first few weeks, I really had to complete those orders. And I was almost resentful that I had to do that. I was pretty angry. And I hated it. But now it's like, you can't tear me out of my studio. I probably spend 12 to 14 hours every day up there. When I'm busy, my mind doesn't drift to the dark and the raw and the hard things. Creating beautiful things kind of helps you not, go down that hole.
It's a distraction, but it's a healthy.
It's who I am. Like it's my husband and I were joking around the other day. Like if we won the lottery, I was like, I'm gonna still be a potter. Like I can't not do that. And he's laughing. He's like, yeah, every time you go on vacation, you have to go buy a sketchbook or some paint. Like I try. I try to not do it.
It's innately who you are. Yeah.
So I think it's also a gift because I don't know how I would have gotten through without my husband and without that outlet.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I love that how we kind of get set up in that way. And I just felt like that's an important point because on the other side of this, which you never really truly, just like everything is different, but that you had some anchors in your life that allowed you to go through the process and still have those anchors now. Which, I don't know, I felt like that was kind of important. So I guess so the first question I want to ask you is tell me about Dylan, what he was like, and the things that really made him unique.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard because he was an empath. He was kind of socially awkward, in his own skin, but he would go sit next to that one person in a room that was by themselves and talk to them. He had a soft spot for people with special needs. Wanted to be a math teacher because he said if the math teachers were cool, kids would like the subject more. So that was like his passion. He was like, I'm going to do this and I'm good at it. And he had dyslexia. So he really struggled as a child with reading. And I remember we fought hard. I mean, just to get him to where he would pass that, was it second grade state testing? And I remember we had a cake and we were so excited when he passed those tests so he could go on to the next grade. And that next grade, those teachers were like, wow, thank you for doing that, because he's got a gift. They're like, he'll go up to a kid that is an exchange student and doesn't speak any English, and Dylan finds ways to communicate with them. And they were like, he goes from A to B in a whole different route, but gets there and then teaches us a different way. And he was always that old soul. He loved to hang out with adults. He preferred to be with the adults at like a family dinner instead of with the kids. He wanted to hear the jokes. He wanted to hear the stories of our youth and what we did growing up. And he used to laugh so hard at my dad and my dad's jokes. And, he just really loved that. He loved to read. And that was what was so crazy is with dyslexia, he used to throw books in the second grade, just throw them, couldn't read them, couldn't do it. And then you couldn't stop. That's all he wanted for his birthday was books, or Christmas was books, and loved to read. And he couldn't spell to save his life. He used to ask his younger brothers when he was texting girls, like, hey, how do you spell school? We'd all kind of laugh about that. But he was always right next to me with his head on my shoulder, watching a movie with me. Or, one of my favorite memories with him was he went Black Friday shopping with me, and he found this Nightmare Before Christmas onesie that he wanted. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, he went to the bathroom and excused himself and put it on and then wore it for the rest of the day. So I have some really fun pictures of him at Starbucks with me with his legs crossed in this onesie, just,
I love it.
Drinking coffee. And he loved Halloween like I did.
Yeah.
So we used to love to go to all the Halloween stores. He loved creative makeup. kind of embarrassing but funny. It was Halloween, and my kids were famous for last minute costumes. Like, Mom, like, go get your makeup. And he said, Mom, can you give me a black eye? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I did the black eye with whatever makeup I had on hand. It was actually like eyeshadow palette.
Right.
So there was a little bit of glitter in it,
Yeah.
And he walked outside, and one of my neighbors rushed over, Dylan, oh my gosh, what happened? Are you okay? And he just goes, my mom did it.
Oh.
With no explanation. And I was like, Cheryl, look closer. There's glitter in there,
Yeah.
And he just started giggling. And a lot of my favorite pictures of him are with Halloween costumes on.
I love it. That was y'all's kind of y'all's
that was mine
thing
and
together.
He was an October birthday. So I think he just, like me, kind of had that artistic soul too.
Totally,
he played the guitar, and that was his outlet, was the guitar.
So he was just kind of an all around,
he was
really highly just sensitive person.
Very sensitive kid. Like, he would kind of giggle at inappropriate things in a movie because he didn't know how to process it. But and then did struggle in school in the beginning. But I mean, towards the end, he passed 2 months from graduating high school.
Right, and when we were talking,
Dean's List, teacher's assistant.
That's what I wanted you to share. Is like this.
Everybody said, not this kid. Every teacher, nobody saw it. Nobody picked up on it. I mean, how can you prevent something that nobody sees coming?
Well loved.
If love could have saved him, he'd still be here.
He truly lived in the moment, I think, in so many ways, now that I'm really like sitting here thinking about that.
Yeah, I think looking back, there had to have been some kind of, impulse to this.
Right.
Because nobody saw it. Nobody saw it coming. Right. That we didn't get the chance to like take him to counseling or put him on medication or tell him all of the things that you think someone that's suicidal needs to hear.
Right. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about what, this is the tough part. And, if you're comfortable talking about that experience of that day, because I mean, it's really tough. And I have questions here, but I also want to be led to the things that we're really supposed to talk about, because like you said, there were no warning signs with him. There were only, literally, like you said, something.
Yeah, not that I saw. So he asked to move down with his dad, who lived in Ocala. We were divorced. My kids didn't spend, a ton of time down there, once a month, holidays. He just said he wanted to be an only child for a while. I think he was kind of struggling with the high school he was at, being the sensitive, guitar player. He wasn't into sports, and that school that he went to was very, very sport driven. So he asked to go live with his dad. We were okay. So I didn't feel like it was something about our relationship. He's like, there's just so many kids here. And he definitely was that soul that liked to, read.
Right. He was,
and watch movies and do things that his brothers necessarily didn't always want to do. So
he needed space.
I let him go. I let him go. And in hindsight, was that the right thing? I don't know. Was he going down there to hide from me and hide those emotions and those things that I didn't see? I live in the what if and woulda, coulda, shouldas. Why did I let him go? So I do think I missed maybe some of the signs, because he showed me what he wanted me to see, and what I saw was a loving, happy, healthy kid.
Which is a note to self for people. And we talked about this, was like, you don't know. That's the reason why somehow we have to create this ability to connect with our children in a place where there's no shame and there's safety. So when they are really, really struggling with that type of inner turmoil, that they can talk out loud to us about it. We should be the safe place. But, we're all in a process, every one of us, everyone. And I was reading a book a while back, and literally, and I think I told you this, was like parents, they don't mean to, but they're trying to survive themselves in so many ways that a lot of parents can't pay attention.
Well, we're living for the first time too.
Yeah,
we are.
exactly.
That's what I think children don't understand, is like, we're still growing, we're still navigating,
Working
we're still
out
learning
our stuff.
Yeah, our traumas.
Our traumas.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm 47, and I'm still learning so much, and I wish I knew some of this stuff when I was a young mom and when I started out. And that's where my guilt comes in. Is like, did I prepare him? Did I tell him everything he needed to know?
Could have done it better.
Could I have done this differently?
Yeah.
When someone dies by suicide, they take those answers with them.
That's right.
You are left with so many questions, and then the stigma.
Yeah.
People are thinking, well, you must have been a bad mom. Your house must not have been healthy or happy. You must not have done all of the things A, B, and C.
And you were very present.
Oh,
you were
too much.
You are a very present
too
mother.
much. So yeah, so like, I feel like my kids are like, I'm a smother. I was always doing art in their classrooms. I would get to know their teachers. I would have hard discussions with my kids, talk about the things that they were going through, but they were also kids dealing with divorce. Right. And they also, had their own things, their own issues.
Their own. I mean, we're all individuals, and it's not. This is the thing that I think it gets so misconstrued, is that the parents aren't doing what they're supposed to do, so therefore the child is suffering. But in this case, you were very present. Your child was doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And so there you go. That is the thing that we're all trying to answer. That it's almost like, what is that in between place, and how do we get it?
Right.
How do we navigate?
And it's hard because, we all want to prevent suicide, but in my case, I don't think I could have prevented it if I didn't know he was suffering. He never told me that he was depressed. He might have been having some anxiety issues that looking back on, now that I have had anxiety issues,
right,
and depression, I would have been able to pick up on that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I was clueless. And going back to what we started, going back to that day, I went and got my hair done in the morning, and then I went and had lunch with my friend Betty. We kind of walked around TJ or Maxx or Marshalls, or I think it was Marshalls, Home Goods, because TJ Maxx wasn't there yet. But and then I went home, and it was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I was starting on Halloween crafts with my kids, for my kids, because it was March. What were we doing? Easter?
There's a holiday wrapped around there somewhere where I was doing love holidays.
You know what? No, this is what it was. I was getting ready to go in one of my kids' schools with an art project. So, because I remember having to email the teacher, like, I'm not coming in. So I was doing some kind of craft thing, and I got a phone call. And it was a police officer saying, hi, this is Officer so-and-so, and I just wanted to let you know that your son is missing. And okay, I have 6. So I was like, what do you mean? I'm like counting kids, and, what do you mean my son's missing? Couldn't understand what she was saying. And she's like, Dylan is missing, and he left a note. And I'm like, well, did it say where he went, what time he'll be back home? And, meanwhile, he's at his dad's house. So I'm still not connecting the dots. They were like, well, he dropped his friend off at school, and, we're trying to ping his phone. We have police dogs looking for him. And I'm thinking, what?
Nothing's computing.
Still not connecting.
Right.
Still did not make any sense. Still did not understand anything that she was saying. And this was in the afternoon. So I'm thinking, wait, he's been missing since this morning. 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just now hearing about this. Like, I'm not understanding you. I still could not process this lady's phone call. I hung up with her, and I'm still kind of like, I don't understand. And then all of a sudden it clicked for a second, and then I was like, police dogs, note. Oh.
Yeah, shock.
I called her back and I said, is there a gun in the house? And she said, no, but we know he stopped by the store and bought a rope. And that just hit me like a train, because then it hit me. Oh, they're telling me that my son is trying to take his life, or that he is on that path. So I called my oldest son, who was living with his girlfriend at the time, and I called my husband, my husband was in the Keys for work. And he just said, okay, I got in the car and just started heading this way. And I mean, there was a lot of wailing and screaming and crying. And I remember being in my front yard, laying in the grass, wailing, and a neighbor came over, and I just said, I have to go help look for my son. He's missing. And she said, okay, I've got your kids. So Andrew, my oldest, and my son, Caden, he's the third oldest. It was Andrew, Dylan, and Caden. So Andrew and I and his girlfriend, we started off for Ocala to go look for my son. And halfway there, we got a phone call that they found him. And this was about, 5 o'clock at night. And I said, oh, okay, good. Is he okay? And they said, no, he's gone. And it was my ex-father-in-law that had called me. And we had already pulled over. They told us to pull over at the time, which I knew wasn't a good sign. I don't remember. I remember seeing a brick wall. I remember seeing the concrete on the floor, the pavement, and my son pulling me off of it. And I guess I was wailing and screaming and crying and all of the things. And the three of us, Andrew, Kate, and I, got in the backseat of the car. And I remember we were just holding on to each other while my son's girlfriend, and to this day, I don't know how she drove that. The other hour left to get to Ocala, with three people in the backyard sobbing and wailing and screaming. And I just kept saying, I have to see him. I have to see him. I have to see him. I need to see him. And when I got there, they did allow me to go see him. So we walked around to the back of the house. And he was on a stretcher, and I stood there for a while. My ex-husband was with him. So I remember giving him that space. I remember saying, I need to stay back here and let him have that time. And then I remember going over to him, and I don't remember being pulled off of him. I don't remember that. My son says he did pull me away. I remember saying he's cold. I remember saying he needs a blanket. Someone needs to get him a blanket. He's cold. And I said, and someone needs to wipe his face, because he had a little drool on his face. And I remember saying, like, I need to wipe the motherly stuff. I kept still going there. And then I saw the van they were going to put his body in. And I kept hearing in my head, like, your other kids don't need you. He needs you. You need to go with him. Like, you need to crawl in that van and just be cremated with him and die with him and be with him. Like, I remember thinking,
truly a part of us does.
I remember thinking, I need to be with him. I need to somehow talk to him again. I need to somehow, I still couldn't understand it. He had, and this is getting kind of graphic, but he had, written a note on his computer that he left for his dad to find. And he had hung himself in the trees that were like in the reserve, I guess, behind my ex-husband's house. And what I have a hard time with, which I suffer a lot, I had to like kind of separate myself from this vision. But my son was hanging from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night when they found him. And I have a hard time with that. How did the dogs not find him? How did the cops not see him? How did they? He wasn't far from the house, so that I have a hard time with that. He had texted a couple of his friends right beforehand, love you, have a good life. But he didn't reach out to any of his brothers or myself or my ex. You know, he had intentions of going to school that day. He had taken a shower. He had loaded the dishwasher. He had packed pizza and Mountain Dew in his lunchbox. And he picked up his ex-girlfriend. They drove to school every day. And I guess he had asked her on the way to school, can we get back together? And she said, no, I want to concentrate on school. He dropped her off at the school and said, you know what, I don't have to be here today. I don't got a lot going on. And then, you know, the rest, picked up a rope. And
it almost seemed like not.
I feel like he might have been planning it for a while. Like we think researching it. We think in February he started writing a note on the computer, and it was really thought out. And you know, there was paragraphs, and then at the end of it, it was rushed. Like anybody they left out, love you, you know, kind of thing. I've only read it once. I can't read it again.
Right.
But it was pulled back up and finished very quickly. I think there was some impulsivity in it. Is that a word? Impulsiveness.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
In it, I feel like he decided, I'm doing it today.
Right.
He did say in his note he didn't see the beauty in the world, and that's where I'm like, did I fail that? Did I fail him in that? Did I not show him how beautiful a marriage could be, how beautiful being a parent can be, how beautiful vacationing is, the world, like all of the things.
And I think that goes back to feeling like I could have done something different. I could have done something better. Do I own that? But
you reread every text message, you replay every phone call, every conversation as a mother,
right?
When you discipline your kids, when you try to guide them and rear them, was that the right action for that situation? Right. Was this the right thing? Something that takes up too much space in my soul is, before he went to his dad's house, I said, you're getting a job. You're 18. Or 17 at the time. I was 17. You need to get a job.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling up in front of a store saying, get out, walk around, like, go apply places. And he said, I'm not getting out of this car, and you can't, right. And you can't make me. Yeah. And I didn't understand then that he suffered from anxiety.
Right.
And as soon as he got to his dad's house, that little bugger got a job immediately. And he called me up and he said, I got a job because I wanted to, not because you were telling me to. And, I struggle with that, because I was like, I wasn't trying to anger that anxiety and make it worse. I wasn't trying to do that. In my mind, I was thinking, hey, it's my job to prepare you for the real world.
True.
And you need to get a job, and you need to learn from, I wanted him to learn from other people, learn from bosses, learn from other kids. So I struggled with that, because in my mind, I couldn't think of, there's not a lot of other things that him and I didn't sync on.
Yeah. Well, in the norm, that's the case. But the truth is, and this is my own experience too, is that we can give them the example, we can be the example, we can show them all the beauty, but it's something innately in them that they have to choose for themselves. And nobody can do that for them. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can do that for me. Right. Nobody can say, it's an experience that you have to find the value and the worth and the love and the beauty of life. And that's missing for people who make this choice. And that is, to me, that is the great mystery of it all, because it sounds like you were so present. Your family was so present. Everybody loved him. He loved everybody. Yeah. But there's this missing link that says, I don't see the point.
I look back and, starting with my oldest child to my youngest child, I parented each one of them differently, but the same.
Sure.
You still have your same values, your same morals, but I was growing with each child,
Absolutely.
So the mother I am to my 16-year-old now might not have been the same mother that my oldest had. My oldest has that mother now, and I'm hoping that,
you get better every time.
But yeah, I mean, you really, even my son's death has taught me so much about humanity and suffering and life and just everything. Like you learn so much from something that you have to go through. And
literally, like we could talk hours about it too.
That's a choice too.
Yeah.
You can choose to stay in bed and just give up, or you can say, hey, I have 5 other children that need me.
Right.
So I have to get up out of bed, and I have to, my youngest was 9 at the time. I had to, go to an Easter egg hunt 2 weeks after my son passed away. I had to decorate the house for Christmas. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do any of those things.
And you were telling me how like your neighbors showed up for you. And I think that this is super, super important for people who have experienced death.
Have you heard of grief groceries?
No.
You can Google it. But the people that literally just texted me and was like, there's food on your front porch. Or we got you some paper plates. Hey, we think your kids need some breakfast items. We just dropped those off. They don't expect to thank you. They don't even want to talk to you. They know you don't want to see people.
Right.
It's the doing.
Right.
Because how many times, you were telling me a story when I first got here about, your hard week. But how many times do we say, hey, if you need something, call me.
Right.
I'll be here for you. I'll we're not going to call you. I'm not going to call you. I can't even put a sentence together. I can't brush my hair. I can't brush my teeth. I can't get out of my own little grief bubble.
Right.
I mean, I could barely function. I'm not going to call you for help. Yeah. So it's grief groceries to me is you just do it, because a lot of people, you don't know what people need. You don't know if you've never experienced this kind of loss, you don't know how to navigate it, and you don't know what to say.
Right.
So it's just the doing. It was the people that mowed our lawn. It was the people that, hey, we're going to the zoo. We're going to pick up your kids. Just doing it.
And I love that
housekeepers. They cleaned my house. Yeah.
This is where we really need to understand that there's so much good in the world, and that people are compassionate, and people they want to help fix it. They do want to help get you through it. I mean, people, this is, to me, this was the most beautiful thing about part of this journey, is how people show up for you. And you were even talking about that when Jake got in the motorcycle accident, how your neighbors decorated.
They decorated the whole neighborhood when we came home with welcome home things. They were feeding my husband and my kids. We were in the hospital for 2 months with Jake. He had a 6% survival rate, was airlifted, severe TBI. It was a DAI, brain injury. Most of everything was broken. He was back into a diaper feeding tube. I mean, it was that phone call. Hey, your son. I was like, I was thinking I've lost another child.
Right. Of course.
So it was putting me right back there. And then being in the hospital, and like I said, my husband called me and said, you're Team Jake and I'm Team Melanie. And that I kind of laugh when I hear that, because he meant it. I mean,
cliche, but he is the angel of the earth, right?
I got pictures on my kid's first day of school. I wasn't there. He knew I did that every year. He did all of the paperwork, all of the things that I did. The housekeeping. His mother came and helped as well. Lived with him for about 3 weeks and helped take care of the family and the kids. But he really did. He
just showed up for you.
I don't know how I lucked out with him, but he is.
God knew you were going to need him.
Like, we have been through the vows. Every vow that we said is proven wrong. I hope that we get a break when it comes to the catastrophes. I really do. But
You've been through more than a lot of people,
so
Melanie.
much more. And I keep thinking, like, is this normal? And then I'm finding out that it is because I share my story. There's such a stigma with suicide. I have a tattoo on my arm. This is Dylan's handwriting.
Yes, I love that.
And a lot of people ask me about it. They're like, oh, is that a boyfriend? I hope not. And I'm like, no, it's my son. And let me tell you about him.
The story.
And I do. I'm not afraid of it. And I'm not ashamed of it because I have had people that have come into my life through those discussions that needed someone to talk to, and they needed to hear the ripple effect that suicide brings and the grief that it brings. And I think my son probably thought he was a burden, or, hey, they're going to be sad for a little bit, but they'll get over it. We did not get over it. We're never going to get over it.
Yeah.
I think that when you're going through those dark days, you're believing that voice in your head that says, they'll be fine. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
They'll get over it.
I don't even know if they have the ability, when you're in that kind of pain and darkness, if they have the ability to even work out all those details in their mind. I think that they just want to stop. And I don't know if the word is pain. I don't even know if that's all it is, but to stop being what they are in this world. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you hear that often with people that have not been through suicide. You hear that suicide is a choice and that they were selfish. I have never, ever, ever been angry. I know anger is an emotion that a lot of people feel in suicide loss. I've never been angry with Dylan because how could I be angry at a kid that was suffering that much that they did this? His brain is an organ just like any other organ that needed help.
Right.
And he didn't, like, if you have cancer, you go get the help.
Right.
He didn't get the help that he needed. He didn't let anybody know he was suffering.
Yeah.
So how can I be angry with that? If anything, I'm angry at myself because I would have hugged him more. I would have, done all of the things, even though I hugged him too much. But I would, you just go back to, it's just a love thing. You just, like I said, that ripple effect. My son, Caden, drew a picture of Dylan, sorry, all of my voice. Caden drew a picture of Dylan. It was in a half hour, and it had captured his likeness so much so. And that is the photo that we used when writing thank you cards for everybody that dropped off a meal, that gave money towards my son's foundation. We do a scholarship for him. And I'm still hearing 7 years later that people still have his picture on their desk at their office, or in their break room at their office, or on the refrigerator at their home, because they said Dylan's death is a reminder that they need to talk to their teenagers. They need to have those hard conversations. They need to be a softer doctor at their practice. Right. They need to ask the questions to their patients that maybe they wouldn't have asked before. He's just a reminder because nobody saw what he was in. Everybody, like, Dylan walked the dogs in the neighborhood. He was just that light, that went out way too quick.
Yeah. But like you said, there's a ripple effect of his life, and it's playing out its part on the earth, and it's not the end. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm going to keep him alive as long as people are speaking his name. Then he's still here, and they're not going to forget about him,
right?
Because he was, I suffered really hard. I made myself suffer hard after I lost Dylan because I wanted to feel as bad as he did.
Yeah,
and I was very hard on myself, and I had a couple dark days where I didn't think I was going to pull through. I can go back to that pain now and go, wow, that's what that feels like. And I'm so surprised I got through it, because I would not have been able to write my amazing husband a note about all of the joy he gave me, or my kids, like, hey, I'm sorry. No, like, I just needed that pain to stop.
Yeah, right.
And then the next day I was like, oh gosh, that's what depression feels like. And now I suffer anxiety, which I didn't have before. And that's what that feels like. But I know that I can get through that now, but I for about year and a half, 2 years. I mean, I read his autopsy. I looked up the news articles. I reread every text message. I didn't want to make sense. I wanted to hurt myself. I wanted to feel really, really, really bad. And I wasn't going to give myself the grace I needed or the forgiveness. I wasn't going to do it. And my kids helped dramatically with that. They hugged me when I needed it. They told me, Mom, you're a good mom. Mom, you have 5 of us, but we only have 1 of you. Can you see that? Mom, can you listen? And it kind of snapped in my head. Oh my gosh, I got to be that beautiful boy's mom for 18 years.
Right.
I got to be his mom. I got to hug him and have those memories and hear his laugh. Oh, his laugh. It was almost like an Urkel laugh, that would lead to a snort, or, like a full body guttural laugh. I got to have a lot of beautiful memories with him. And I kind of was humbled by that, because there's people that can't have kids, and there's people that their lives are cut shorter. And, there's people that lose their children too many other ways, and they're not given more time, and I could live in that. I could live in the, I'll never see Dylan. I didn't get to see him graduate. His brother walked for him. He was given a magna cum laude, graduation. And, his brother walked. We got to photograph something, but I won't get to see him walk down the aisle or have kids. Or I could live in that, and I can torture myself with that, or I can choose.
Yeah, it's a big process.
I can choose to say, what? He's still around us. He's still with us. He's still protecting his brothers like he did. He's still with me when I'm having hard times. I've seen signs. I've seen the little things, the little gifts he gives me, and the weirdness that he was so beautifully into my weird life.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I know he's with me. I know he's proud of me.
Yeah,
I feel it. I feel his hugs. I still do.
We're truly living in a parallel place, and they're right here with us for sure. I wanted to ask you, how has
you have questions.
Yeah, well, no, it's okay. It's good, because you've already answered some of them.
This is how my brain works. Sorry.
I was just thinking, I know the answers to my questions about this, but for your children, how has that impacted? How has suicide impacted your other children's life?
Oh, man. I have good and bad stories on that. My son that's on the autism spectrum was closest with Dylan. And Dylan would not have left him if he was in the right mind. Mm-hmm. He always would say, he's my favorite. Dylan would say, Logan's my favorite. When I came back from Ocala, we had to tell these children that you lost your brother, that your brother's no longer here. So we had a counselor come to the house. I made sure there was an adult for every child that we had to tell, so that they had someone to hold them and touch them. And, and that was the hardest conversation I will ever have to have. We, with the younger one, said his mind was sick. But we didn't go into detail on how he did it, or why, or because we didn't even understand it then. We just knew that he wasn't coming home.
Yeah, you had to tell him.
And so early on, my son on the spectrum, who he was closest with, I knew I had to do something memorable in a positive way, or else this was going to live rent-free in his head. So I said, go get your bathing suit. And he's like, okay, and we have this big giant tub, and I put my bathing suit on, and we sat in that tub, and we let the bubbles overflow. And we kind of had a hard conversation, just surrounded by the softness of bubbles. And it was so silly then. But now he still kind of talks about it. And he said, I remember that. I don't remember, the hard stuff. And I said, okay, well, I knew it was something that we had to do, something silly, And Grady was 9. Grady was little. And Grady, I remember we just needed to make him feel safe and loved, and still had to do the Santa, and still had to do the Easter Bunny, and we still had to do the things that were impossible. And the older kids had their own demons. Did I not call my brother enough? Did I not? They had their own issues that they struggled with, that we had to get through as a family, that we had to like navigate. We'd go out to dinner and we'd always get that table of 8. Well, there was always that one chair empty.
Right.
That was hard.
Right.
So we did things a little differently those first holidays. My dad went out and bought a separate tree for Dylan, and we put all of Dylan's ornaments on it because I had to do that separately. I couldn't do that with my kids decorating the family tree because I didn't want that memory of them having this time of like a family thing of me bawling and wailing. And so I did that privately that first year. I put all of Dylan's ornaments up separately, and that's kind of a tradition that we do to this day.
Yeah.
And doing that, it allows me to still shop for Dylan. I'm still seeing things in the store for him, and a little guitar ornament or his favorite food ornament.
That's a beautiful way to...
And the tree's been growing, and we put his flannel shirts around the base as a tree, and we put his bow ties that he wore every day on the top. And our kids have kind of joined in on that. They're like, oh, I forgot the microphones.
It's okay.
We, they're like, oh, I found this in my room. I'm going to put it on Dylan's tree. So that's been something that we really look forward to every year. My kids had some hard times in school after their death. I'll never forget my youngest went to school and his teacher said nothing to any of the kids. And the kids were like, hey, why weren't you here? Were you sick? And he's like, no, my brother died. And so him being 90-year-old, having to navigate this scary classroom of kids that had no idea was really tough. Logan went to school and he had the most amazing teacher to this day. We're still friends. She had prepared her classroom with love. They wrote Dylan cards. They wrote me cards. They contributed to Dylan's fund as a classroom. They were so involved, and Logan felt so much love. He still does. This same teacher still says, hey, Logan, let's meet for pizza.
Wow.
So
kudos to that teacher.
Oh, teachers are so important.
Which tells you exactly, and we've talked about this before, how if somehow we can tie the school system into this.
Right. So that other teacher
situation
that didn't prepare Grady's classroom emailed me, so are you not coming in to do art this week? No, no, I'm not. And, when Grady got a little older, this is hard to talk about, but I'm going to do it because I hope this teacher watches this. Grady came home from school and I could tell there was something up. And he said, Mom, I have to tell you something, but I'm really afraid it's going to activate you. I'm really afraid this is going to make you upset. And I said, okay, let's, have this conversation. Let's go. Come on. And he said, Mom, my teacher is having the discussion about deaths in the old days and hangings. And she knows how my son passed away. So this is a little bit of a sore subject. But she was talking about, hangings in the old days, how it was, a death that was done. And the kids were like, huh, and she had a rope in her classroom and she tied a noose and she put it around her neck and showed the kids, middle school kids that are suffering, how to tie a noose. And my son came home and said, but that's how Dylan died. And I don't understand why she did that. And I'm like, oh, I can't protect him. I can't protect him from adults that should know better, that should be more sensitive. And this is a rabbit hole that we can talk about forever.
Oh, heck yeah.
There's TV shows, where they're like, oh, I'm going to hang myself. The Golden Girls had an episode. Hang me in. Our kids play this. Think about people that lose their child by gunshots. How many movies, how many, people do this. Oh, I'm just going to shoot myself today. I'm going to kill myself today. If
You're answering all the things I'm hearing in my head right now.
If I'm going to do one more thing, I'm going to kill myself,
to desensitize.
So this teacher was so insensitive, and it wasn't just my son's class. She taught every class that day this same lesson. I was outraged, that people are just so disconnected.
Right. Well, they haven't experienced.
That's exactly it. Once you do, it's all I know is suicide. It's every day. It's all day.
Yeah.
It's all I hear.
Yeah.
But it was never something that I worried about with my children.
I know.
Never. I worried about them being kidnapped, them getting hurt, them getting hit by a car, them getting lost, them getting abducted. You know, all of the things. I think I just said the same thing twice. But that's what I worried about. That's why when the police officer called me, I was not.
It was not in your.
It was not
ability to even
ever.
Yeah.
I never lost anybody to suicide. I'd never heard about it. You know, you plug through. That's our bodies, our brains are wired to protect us. If a bus comes, you get out of the road. If you're riding a bike, you get out of the way. If you're in a store, you grab your mom's hand to keep you safe. You know, we are wired that way. We're taught that. So when people die by suicide, how did they do that? How did they go to that next step? How did they, I don't know if it was bravery or if it was impulsiveness or if it was, I don't know.
We don't, and we won't.
But then we have people in these school systems, people of power,
that really influence our children every day.
Right. So this is a roundabout way of answering your question, I guess, but it's evolving. It's ongoing. My son that's on the spectrum, he just, yesterday was his birthday. He just turned a year older than Dylan when Dylan died. And he's been really struggling with, I don't understand it. I don't understand how he did that or why he did that. And did he not love me enough to stay?
That's the number one question the siblings ask. I really do believe it.
How could he leave me? All of those things that, of course, I felt as well. But here is this son, my son, 6 and 7 years later, just starting to process those raw emotions because he's of that age. And he went through some hard things. He had a girlfriend, one of his first girlfriends, and him being on the spectrum, you know, navigating emotions is difficult for him. They broke up and his girlfriend said, I bet you were the reason your brother died.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I remember you telling me that.
How can people be so nasty with their words? You know, you can't unhear those things. I had someone say that I must have been an unfit mother. I can't unhear that.
I know.
It tortures me.
You had some really tough experiences with people judging you or criticizing you. Yes. And I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. I lost some people in my life that, not because they were judging me, but they couldn't understand why I wasn't over it in a couple months, why I didn't move on, why I was still so sad, why I was not that person anymore. One person heard me laugh and said, oh, you're over it, thank goodness. You know, I miss you. And I'm like, oh, girl, no. Just because I laugh does not mean I'm over it. I will never, for as long as I live, get over this. For as long as I live, I will be Dylan's mother. Yeah. And I will miss him. And I will never get over it. I'm going to get through it. My kids are going to be, you know, loved. And my husband is going to have his best friend back. And, you know, I'm going to get through it. I'll never get over it. No. People in those first 2 months give you that casserole. They show up. They're there.
I always say that.
But your real friends and your real people 6 months later are going to still bring you a dinner, or hey, I haven't seen you in a while. You might be having a hard day. Yeah. Would you like to come over for a drink? Or hey, I was thinking of you and your son, and I saw this little Nightmare Before Christmas ornament. I know that was Dylan's favorite. I got that for you. Like, they don't think they're going to upset you, you know, if they bring up your son, because they know you're always thinking of them.
And they're entering into your process.
Like, you know, hey, if you talk about Dylan, you're not going to upset me. You're not going to bring him up like I'm not thinking of him. I'm thinking about him as much as I think about my other kids. And my mom said that to me. I want to give her some credit too. My mom was my person. After I lost Dylan, she lost her grandchild, and that must have been really hard. But she watched her child suffer unimaginably, and she helped keep me here too by saying those things to me, like, "Hey, I want you to think about Dylan only as much as you're thinking about your other kids. Give them all the same amount of
That's wise.
space.
That's very wise.
Right. And she, I could call her and say stuff that sounded absolutely nuts. And she goes, "Oh, girl, I thought that twice today," and I've been crying too. And, she also validated my motherhood. Like, you are such a good mother.
Yeah.
And I wish I was a mom like you sometimes, or, said all those things that would get me out of the darkness. There's some men in my life, my brothers, who I was not as close with, but I am now, and they're,
it healed a lot
of
your life too.
Yeah, my son's death, it stuck with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all living that, "Oh, I just texted him something. I just asked him this. If he just," they all have, everybody, that ripple effect again. His friends that got those texts, and that girlfriend that had to live with that guilt. Like, I had to set her free. Yeah. I said, it wasn't your fault. She might have known some things that I didn't know that he told her in private. And yeah, she should have spoke up, and she should have said,
yeah,
I don't want to, keep the secret. I'm going to tell somebody. She should have done that. Yeah. But I don't blame her.
Right.
She was a child.
Right.
But I do believe that talking saves lives. If you hear somebody that says something that, that they're not just asking for attention.
Right.
They don't just want you to
tough
go.
Love isn't always the answer.
Right. I mean, but if you hear somebody that's struggling, don't sit on that.
Right.
Don't just go, "Well, I don't want to upset his mom," or "I don't want to embarrass
them. Or they promised
them.
me not to tell, or
right.
Try to decipher what is so important that you need to say that thing, and what is, just, private. But when there's red flags, it needs to be said out loud.
Back to what you were saying about my kids and how they dealt with that. I've said from the beginning of this, you don't have to talk to me, but you have to talk to somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Of course you can talk to me, and yes, you will make me sad, but I want you to see me cry. I want you to know what this death did to me. Right. So in case you're ever thinking about it, because hey, those siblings are now dealing with the loss of their brother, and then they might have some hereditary things with their own depression and mental health issues. Right. So, hey, you just have to talk to somebody. Of course I'm going to be here for you. But I also, like I said, I want men to know, because I'm raising 5 of them, that it's okay to cry. No, you don't have to be a man, and you don't have to man up, and you don't have to suck it up. No, you are given those emotions for a reason, and you have to feel them, because until one day, like a lot of the people that I come across in this journey that I'm on are men that have thought of taking their lives, or have tried, or that are struggling. I think they need to know that the way that they were kind of raised, where you just don't do that, you don't cry. No. You got to cry. You got to talk. You got to show people those raw emotions.
And it gives other people permission to do the same thing when you do.
The military, police officers, if they complain about their mental health, then they lose their job.
Yeah.
We got to change that.
Yeah.
Because men want to protect, they want to provide. So sometimes they think, hey, my family will be better off if I'm not here, versus the embarrassment that this is going to go. No. We don't want that. We want you to stay.
Take the stigma away from it.
Yeah, we want you to stay. We want you to talk. So, I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I think that there's so much to unpack about this. Like, we could literally talk for hours about.
My children are doing well.
Yeah. I mean, your children are doing well, and
they are choosing paths. I lost Dylan in 2018. So, my son Andrew is a very talented car mechanic. My son Caden is in nursing school and also is a tech in a hospital. My son Logan wants to be a firefighter. Like, they are choosing these paths where they're, keeping their minds busy. They're being creative. They're helping others. they're doing okay. They all have chosen, partners and friends that have loved them through this, that help them, encourage them, um, that are allowing them to be the people that they need to be when they're, whether I have my squirrel tattoos, I call my kids the squirrels, they're ping, ping, ping.
I know.
And they've picked these amazing partners that encourage that let them live their life for the first time and find their joy. We look for the joy in my house. My husband and I sit back in the living room quite often, and the 23-year-old and the 16-year-old are hugging and laughing and goofing off, and then out comes Jake from his bedroom wanting to know, hey, what am I missing? What's going on here? And Logan walks in the door giggling, and then their girlfriends come in, and it is just it's the chaos that makes me miss Dylan so much, because I can see where he would have fit in, and where he is missed, but I can see where my son's death has allowed these humans to get closer and tighter through this journey, because they've all been through their journey. But they love hard and they laugh hard and they miss hard. They grieve hard.
They're
grief,
good humans,
right?
And that's the beauty of
grief is ongoing, and it changes and it evolves. And mine has definitely, it's always there. I'll miss him the most on his birthday and his death day. Those are his days. I give him those days. I give myself those days to curl up under a blanket or do, something. We used to, oh goodness, I'm saying this out loud. On his birthday, we used to all go to the beach and light lanterns and send him his birthday candles to heaven, is what we called it, until the one year a candle went awry and went in between two houses, and my brother took off.
Oh, wow.
Trying to go, prevent people's houses from getting on fire, but ran back saying, run, get in the cars. And we just kind of started laughing oh no, what happened? But we still try to celebrate him and honor him, and whether it's buying a cake and singing him happy birthday, or on his death day, crying a little bit more, or going out of town. We often go out of town for his death day because we like to go somewhere new and bring them with us and experience something and kind of bond a little bit.
I love that. I mean, what a journey grief is. And like you said, you never are going to get over it, but you adapt and you grow and you love through it, and you become stronger, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way, almost to a fault. It's hard for me to kind of cry and break down now. Like I think your brain naturally protects you from stuff. So someone will be like, oh my gosh, 20,
I think you become
20 puppies just got ran over, and I'm like, oh, that's so sad.
Right.
Because I can't let myself get there, because I know if I watch a certain program that has something in it that might activate me, or if I hear Dylan's favorite song, it's gonna take me back.
It's gonna trigger you. Yeah. But I think as time goes on, you become more of the observer. Even though you still get triggered and you have all those little connections, I say that I have become more of the observer. And I say that carefully, because it's allowed me to make space for other people who have experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
And
not everybody has the support either.
Right. Nobody has. Yeah.
Not everybody had, the family like I did, and the friends. And, I could not have gotten through it without my mother-in-law coming, and my husband taking care of me, and the people coming into the village that came in to help me with my children. And I wouldn't have gotten through it without my children. And I know a lot of people don't have that. I know of mothers that have lost their only child, and women that have lost their husband, and then their they're raising children by themselves. They're solo parents. They're not single mothers. They're solo
That's the reason why
parents.
community is so important, for
Yeah.
people to be paying attention to other people, which leads me to kind of like this last point before we close is there are resources available, literally, like, we're more in the intracoastal area, beaches area, but there are some resources, and you can kind of talk about that for a second before we close, because I know it has probably been at least an hour. But
sure. So I am a part of, it's called the Vincent Foundation, VINSON. She's got a Facebook page. It was a suicide, like a survivor of suicide support group. My husband called very early on, and we went early in our grief stage. And it's a group of peers, of people that are suffering and navigating through the loss of suicide. So it's siblings, parents, spouses, cousins, friends, people that need to have this space that's provided to say all of the insane, crazy things that you think, and all of the horrible, self-deprecating things that you think. This is the place, the safe place that you go to grieve and to talk, because talking does save lives. And this group, it did it. I had to hear about the mothers that went through the same exact thing I did, and I had to hear from the siblings that lost, a brother, so I could go home and help my kids. And about how my husband must be feeling, and my ex-husband as well. What is he going through? Right, where with him being where Dylan passed in his home, and so the Vincent Foundation is great. There is other websites. There's Facebook pages that you can join if you kind of want to be a little bit more anonymous, where you can get support. Locally, there's Here Tomorrow, which is wonderful. They are there to talk to if you're thinking about taking your life. And they also offer support for people that are going, like the parents of a child that might be like, how do we help him? How do we save him? What do we do?
So there are resources. These are a few that are in our community.
So I do the Ponte Vedra location. There's also a San Pablo one for her group, but there's other groups out there. There's, if they contact us and they want something more inclusive, like just for kids, like we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Well, definitely. So we're going to close, but I just want to encourage people to open themselves up to understand the process of grief when you lose someone to suicide, that there's resources available. You can DM me through the Love Bomb Collective. I can connect you to other resources. Or if you're just a person who wants to talk about it, DM me. And I'm sure Melanie the same. We've been there, we've done it, and we want to help love and support you through it as well. So thanks for being here today. Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, and we connected. Wow, in the early
over art first, I think, which
it was
through
over
art, and then
I had the studio. We
lost lost sons to suicide. So it's a really, if you just start talking about it, you're going to come across somebody that is going through it. So
thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks everybody.